Okay, before we even kick off this explainer, I need to ask you for a massive favor. Seriously, grab your phone right now and just put it face down. Trust me on this. Because today we're going to unpack exactly why your focus feels totally shattered lately. We're looking at why you, and let's be honest, all of us, can't stop checking our screens. And more importantly, how to actually fix it. And the best part, we are doing this without a single ounce of self-blame. Let's jump right in with a pretty shocking reality check. 96. That's the number of times the average person checks their phone every single day. 96 times. That breaks down to roughly once every 10 minutes. Just think about that for a second. Think about how often your train of thought is just abruptly derailed by a screen. And because of all that relentless context switching, our modern attention span has taken a massive hit. It's plummeted to just 8 seconds. To put that into perspective for you, that is officially shorter than the attention span of a literal goldfish. I mean, there is no denying it. We're living in the most distracted era in human history. But wait, it actually gets worse. Right now, we're losing about 2.5 hours every single day just to mindless social media scrolling. That is 2.5 hours of potential deep work, time for your hobbies or quality time with your family, just completely evaporating into the void of our feeds. And if you add to that the fact that we spend about 47% of our waking hours with our minds just completely wandering, that means for nearly half of our lives, we aren't even fully present. But listen, here is the absolutely crucial takeaway I want you to remember before we dive into the science. You are not broken, you're not weak, and you certainly aren't lazy. So let's look at Section 1, the neuroscience of distraction and what's happening inside your brain. Okay, so it all really starts with dopamine. See, your brain isn't exactly addicted to the content you're scrolling through. It's addicted to the dopamine hit that comes from the possibility of a reward every time your phone buzzes. And when you aren't intensely focused on a task, your brain shifts into what's called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of this as your brain's idle mode. And here is the truly terrifying part. The data shows that every single 2-second distraction costs you over 23 minutes of deep work to fully recover from. One quick glance at a notification, your flow state is completely wiped out. Which brings us to Section 2, the digital trap, and exactly how tech hijacks your attention. Look, you aren't just fighting your own wandering mind here. You are actively doing battle against billion-dollar tech companies. And these platforms, they aren't just innocent apps. They borrow tactics straight out of casino design. We're talking the slot machine effect of pulling to refresh, infinite scrolling with absolutely no natural stopping points. And those little red notification badges, those are designed to literally trigger a threat response in your amygdala. They are quite literally hacking your basic survival instincts just to maximize their ad revenue. Just look at this quote. Reed Hastings, the former CEO of Netflix, famously said that their biggest competitor is sleep. Seriously, think about that for a second. These billion-dollar executives view your fundamental biological need for sleep like the absolute core pillar of your health and cognitive function as the ultimate enemy of their engagement metrics. That is what we're up against. So how on earth do we fight back? Let's move on to Section 3, 7 science-backed strategies to kill distraction. The first 4 strategies here focus heavily on how you structure your environment, and they require you to completely abandon the total myth of multitasking. Actually, a landmark study out of Stanford proves that multitasking just outright destroys your cognitive function. So instead, you need to start time blocking 90-minute deep work sessions. You've got to design your environment to increase friction for bad habits. You need to fix your attention residue by writing down your exact next steps before you switch tasks. And above all, absolutely commit to monotasking. Just do one thing at a time. Now, the final 3 strategies. These involve fundamentally resetting your brain's hardware. Harvard MRI studies have proven that just 8 weeks of daily mindfulness meditation physically shrinks your brain's distraction center, the amygdala, while actually thickening your prefrontal cortex. That's incredible. Combine that with some strategic phone fasting to reset your baseline dopamine, and use the 2-minute rule to clear out your mental RAM every week, and honestly, you're going to become practically unstoppable. But now, let's transition to Section 4, the 5,000-year-old battlefield and the timeless wisdom of the Gita. Because what if I told you that this exact struggle, this wandering mind, this sheer inability to focus, was perfectly diagnosed and brilliantly solved literally 5,000 years before the smartphone was even a thought? It is all right there inside the ancient wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita.
Even the great ancient warrior Arjuna, who was arguably one of the most disciplined figures in history, openly admitted that the human mind is restless, obstinate, and way harder to control than the wind. So hey, if you're struggling with focus today, take some comfort. You are in highly historic company. And Lord Krishna's answer to Arjuna? It essentially mapped out modern neuroplasticity thousands of years early. He stated that the mind can only be curbed by two specific things: abhyasa, which means consistent repeated practice, and vairaja, which means total detachment from the outcomes. Krishna also gave a massive warning about the danger of our senses. As Chapter 2 explains, even if just one single sense wanders away, it can carry off a person's intelligence entirely. He compares it to a boat being suddenly swept away by a sudden storm on the water. And when you compare modern psychology to this ancient wisdom, it lines up beautifully. Think about it. An open browser tab or a vibrating smartwatch today is the exact same attentional capture trap as Krishna's boat caught in the wind. The technology has obviously completely changed, but the fundamental underlying wiring of the human mind, that hasn't changed at all. It's just mind-blowing to think about. So what's the solution? According to the Gita, it's cultivating the tortoise mind. Just like a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its shell the second it's threatened, we have to withdraw our senses inward, away from external distractions. In today's highly practical terms, that simply means taking your phone and physically putting it in another room while you do your deep work. Don't fight the distraction, just withdraw from it. And what about curing our internal distraction? That constant nagging anxiety about the future. Well, Krishna teaches the concept of nishkama karma. It means you must do the work fully, right here, right now, in the present moment, and then completely let go of the results. And it's exactly that release of outcome that creates the psychological safety your brain desperately needs to maintain true, sustained focus. All right, let's bring it all together in Section 5, the daily ritual and the 7-day challenge.
Because just knowing this ancient wisdom in the modern science isn't going to be enough, right? We have to actually build it into an actionable daily architecture. I'd actually highly recommend just taking a screenshot of this framework we've laid out for you. It seamlessly blends the teachings of the Gita with modern neuroscience. It structures your day starting with a secret, phone-free morning to set your intentions, then moves you right into a 90-minute monotasking deep work block. Then you get a hard reset in the afternoon with some mindful walking, and finally it ends with a restorative evening wind down with absolutely zero screens before sleep. To make this really concrete for you, here is your high-stakes 7-day challenge to reclaim your mind. Remember, your attention is the raw material of your entire life. So from trying a phone-free first hour, to committing to just one deep work block, to doing a simple 10-minute meditation, if you commit to these steps for just one single week, I guarantee you'll watch your productivity absolutely skyrocket. I'm going to leave you with this final, incredibly profound thought to carry with you today. Lord Krishna said, the mind is either your greatest enemy or your greatest friend. And as we've seen in this explainer, the latest neuroscience and the most ancient texts in the world completely agree on this fact. So the real question is, which one are you going to allow your mind to become today?